All right, thanks, guys. So, just to give us a roadmap, and that is going to guide our conversation, throughout this webinar. Now, this particular topic we are dealing with that centers around data visualization and data storytelling is going to be in two parts, meaning we're going to do a part um, this month, and then when we come again, we're going to work on the other part because it is something that is broad. However, each part is full in itself, meaning that you can begin to deploy the knowledge you gather today into data analysis. And don't worry if you have never tried Excel before for data analysis or anything at all. I'm going to recommend that you check out last month's webinar video because some things I'm going to gloss over today are things that have been covered expansively in that particular video. If you already joined the community WhatsApp group, you will find the video there. And I'm going to try to be as fast as possible. So, like I said, we're going to be handling the first part of data visualization and data storytelling today. When we come next month, we're going to complete the other parts. Note that data will be shared with you, and one of the criteria for getting certification for this webinar, which you can add to your CV and you can even share LinkedIn, is that you must practice what you learn today. And you must show you how to turn it in, how to submit the assignment in a drive. All right, now I can't really see my dashboard. So again, I need one or two persons to unmute themselves to let me know if they can hear me. And then I'm going to get started.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, so Excel, visualize your data, but then just a quick intro about me. I did this last month. Sorry that there's a little bit of discrepancy in my slide colors. All right. So I'll be your facilitator, and my name is Opeyemi, but I'm the founder of One Solutions. One Solutions is a budding conglomerate that oversees activities of different other organizations, including One Data Academy, right? And I'm one of the many tutors in the academy, and I'm a data scientist, a passionate one for that matter. I'm also an analyst, and I have over 10 years experience in anything related to data, including artificial intelligence, and very dedicated to solving real problems using data. Right. So I've already explained how that One Solutions is the visionary parent company behind One Data Academy and other um, platforms. So I don't want to waste time on that because we have limited time for this webinar. And as much as I'm going to try as much as possible to assume that each and every one of us are beginners and you've never interacted with Excel before, again, I recommend that you take the last webinar course and make sure to subscribe so that when we upload this again, you're able to get notified about that. Okay, so let's move. So Excel, visualize your data. Um, so some of the things that you're going to be learning data normalization basics. Now, we've expansively dealt with this in the last webinar, all right? And I'm going to just, explain a bit about this as a way of introduction. And that's because in data analysis, in data visualization now, because that's what we are trying to focus on today and in the next webinar, the integrity of your data is very, very important. You must clean your data, you must normalize your data before you begin any form of visualization on it. Else, it's going to impact your result or whatever interpretation, whatever conclusion, whatever recommendation you're making to the stakeholders or to the businesses or whatever the data is, or whatever the organization is that you are dealing with is going to be compromised. The result will be compromised. All right. So data raw facts, in case you don't know what data is, and they can come in various forms, numbers, they can come as text, they can come as images, etc., etc. For now, we're dealing with numerical data and also some text data, right? Now, so in data normalization, I'm going to explain it in a bit. Also, we'll be analyzing our data with something we call quick analysis tool. Now, we didn't touch this in the last webinar, but the last webinar gives us some very robust ways of data analysis and data visualization. We use pivot table and create charts and all of that. But then we're going to be focusing on um, quick analysis tool today, and I think we're going to pause there. So we're now getting insight into our data with what we call the analyzed data. So it's something we're going to focus on in the next webinar, because I do not want to rush this. Again, I want you to really get this. Now, I'm a teacher and I like to always get feedback at intervals. So please unmute yourself again, because I can't see my dashboard. I want to be sure you can still hear me. I want to hear like 2 or 3 voices. Please confirm you can still hear me. Good, good. That's just one voice. I'm guessing others are shy. Thank you. Why am I hearing men's voice? Is there no woman in the house? Let me go and see the dashboard. I need to be sure. Okay, so I'm saying Mary Olufemi, I'm saying Rosemary, I'm saying Chiamaka, I'm saying Jennifer. So please, let's hear at least a female voice. We will not move further until we hear at least a female voice.
We're here, we can hear you.
I like the fact that she said we are here. She's speaking for the
And
other
the
women.
voice is even cool.
The voice is what?
It's cool.
It's cool, right? I like this particular
Yes.
part. Right. I like the energy in the house. Okay, so let's continue. Since you all can hear me. So I'm going to present from current slide. Okay, so yeah. Now, so for data normalization, we're going to look at the process, how to organize our data, how to reduce redundancy, how to improve the data integrity, like I mentioned earlier. And how do we achieve this? We want to deal with things like duplicates in our data, right? We want to deal with what we call missing values, or we also call them blanks. All right. Then also we want to check for our key identifiers, that is the headers. By the time we get to the data, I will show you what each and every of these things means. And also we want to be sure that our fields, the names of our fields, are meaningful and are clear enough. All right. So we're going to come back to our slide, and when we want to look at quick analysis too. But for now, we're going to focus on data normalization. So I'm going to go to Excel. If you have Excel already installed, regardless of the version. Now, this data set will be shared. Intentionally, I didn't share it to the group yet. And that's because I want us to really pay attention in class. But in the next class, next month, I'm going to, because we're still going to be using the same data, and it's going to be more hands-on, and we're doing something, more, let me use the word complicated. And so it's important for us to work as I demonstrate. But for now, I'm assuming that you are newbies and you've never interacted with. So this is how Excel looks like generally. Let me just remove this so it goes out of the way. Okay, now again, check the last video on our YouTube channel for the last free webinar, and there are very important things we said, especially around the Excel interface and some of these things, which I might not be able to dwell so much on. Now, as a data analyst, note that there are 4 levels of analysis that you're able to perform. Now, this was also discussed in the last webinar. All right. Now, there's something called descriptive analysis. We have prescriptive analysis. We have predictive analysis, and we have diagnostic analysis. In a bit, in 1 minute, I'm going to explain them. Sorry, I'm a bit fast, but at the same time, I'm conscious of the fact that many of you are probably new to the use of Excel, especially for data analysis, right? Because Excel can be used for many, many things, including accounting and all. Now, in descriptive analysis, as a data analyst, either working in an organization or working for a client, maybe a side gig. And really, you won't know why I keep referring to the last webinar we did, because there we talked about how to, get side gigs, how to, um, as a data analyst, platforms where you can work remotely, and how to, go about it. Anyways, so in descriptive analysis, when you have data from a client, or you have a business data, it can be an academic data, regardless of whatever the data is, you want to understand what has happened in that organization. For example, it's a business data. And how you do that is to quickly describe the data using things like charts, using things like what we call measures of central tendency. All right. Now I can't start, explaining all of that because of our time. One of the things we try to do in the academy for our students is we try to provide some good understanding of statistics, because you need to know some statistics in um, in data analysis for you to be successful in data analysis, and that shouldn't scare you. In fact, in our current cohort, we have a student who read English, and he knows Jack. In fact, people from art and humanities, they have problems with numbers and all, but then he's getting along and I find it very interesting. Sometimes you just need a good tutor to demystify these things. Okay. Now, again, so for the descriptive analysis, we use charts, we use averages, like mean, median, mode. We want to know what's the average price, what's the average sales hours. So you want to maybe check trend. Okay, what are sales been in the past 6 months? At that level, it's just descriptive analysis you are doing. All right, nothing serious. You've not really gone in depth to solve a problem per se, but you want to understand what happened. Then there's what we call diagnostic analysis. So in diagnostic analysis is like the why of what happened. So if you notice that in a particular month there was a decline, all right, in diagnostic analysis you want to investigate. So why was there a decline? All right, it could be that, oh, they were given to adverts, but at some point in a particular month they stopped adverts, and then it's impacted their sales. Now remember that as a data analyst you are a prophet. Right? And that leads us to what we call predictive analysis. Please mute your mic as you're coming in, mute your mic. So in predictive analysis, you want to tell the future. You want to say, oh, if you do this, based on the data, based on the trend, this is what is likely going to happen. You can predict sales, you can predict profits for an organization. You can predict events based on the time series of data available. By the way, time series is a series of data, of events collected successively over time. Okay, then lastly, we have what we call the prescriptive, right? And one illustration I like to give is when you go to a doctor and he tests you, he looks at you and says, oh, go and carry out this test. And after carrying out those maybe lab tests or blood tests, the doctor doesn't just tell you to go. No. After the diagnosis, there has to be prescription. All right. So as data analysts, we also prescribe solutions. All right. Take note, if there's an important thing to take home today is that there are 4 general levels of analysis. We have descriptive, we have diagnostic, we have predictive, and we have prescriptive. Now, here's our data. We want to normalize this data, but for you to normalize your data, now let me go back to my slide quickly. I want to quickly show you something. So in data normalization, all right, let me just present. So in normalization, these things are very, very important for you to normalize your data, or to make your data's head to set, to make it normal. All right? Because most times in real life, you will not meet a neat data. All right? Now, it's either the data comes from a primary source or from a secondary source. From secondary sources is from databases, which I think we also explained in the last video. Now, you want to look out for what we call duplicates. All right, you want to look out for missing values, because if there are missing values, it has a way of affecting your data. In the process of collecting data, it's possible that there was what we call non-response error. right? People, they don't feel it or something happened, and those are very important. And so you as the analyst, you must treat it, you must devise a way to fill those missing values or those blanks, all right? Then also utilizing key identifier, right, which we're going to look at in a bit. But for the first thing I want us to see in our data is our field names. Now, as an analyst, okay, so let me just give us quick heads on. So the way I teach, I do not like to have very long session at a go. So in the next 20 minutes, we'll take a little break of say a few minutes, maybe 3-5 minutes, and then we're going to come back to the call again to continue. Especially when we are probably done with this section, then we'll go to the next section. Now, the first thing you want to look at when you open a data like this, if your data is in Excel format or what we call the comma separated value, that's .csv format, those would naturally open in an Excel spreadsheet like this or in a Google sheet. Now, this is already in a table form. Again, when you watch the last video from the last webinar, you see that your data will not, most times will not already be in table form. So how do you convert it to table? This is already in a table form because I've done all of the work to save us some time. So when you refer to that, there are different ways. After highlighting, you can Control T, or you can just go to insert and click on tables. Now, this is already in table form. The first thing you want to look at is what we call the headers. Now, these headers, or what we call the column names, are very important. They are also called variables, right? These are the things that are of interest to you. Remember that as analysts, as data analysts, we want to solve real life problems. And in order for us to solve the problem, again, please watch the last video because there we broke down the pipeline that data analysts normally follow in order to solve problems, in order to tackle a real problem. So and one of the things we mentioned in the pipeline is data. That's the first thing. Once the objective of the project has been set, that is the problem you want to address has been clearly set, the next thing you ask yourself is, so do I have the data? Or how do I get the data? All right, now let's assume we've gotten our data, right? There are different insights that we can actually bring out from our data, okay? And that explains why we need to analyze. So first thing, you need to familiarize yourself with the data. Especially as a freelancer, you might come across data from different industries and niches or domains. By that, what I mean is it can come from finance, it can come from core sciences, it can come from anywhere, all right? It can come from aviation. You must be familiar with, there's something called data dictionary. Data dictionary one helps you to understand the variables, or I'm going to explain what variable means, the subject matter, all right? The key things that relate to that problem that you want to solve, that are present in the data you've collected. So it helps you to know the variables. Then secondly, it also helps you to understand the data types, or whether they are numeric, right? Whether they are letters, alphabet, or something of that nature, okay? Now, when you get familiar with the data dictionary of your data, it helps you to understand the industry you're working with. You must be familiar with their terminologies, their concepts. Else, whatever analysis you make, you won't be able to draw out recommendation that is reasonable to them, such that they can use for, to take decisions, business decisions, what we call business intelligence. You'll be able to provide business intelligence if you don't understand it. So let's quickly look through the headers. All right, we have like 15 minutes more for this session before we move. Again, I need to be sure that you are still with me. If you are with me, please let me, two or three people, please unmute yourself and let me know you're still with me.
Yeah, we keep up.
Thank you.
Well, with you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back to Excel now. Now, we have transaction ID. We have transaction ID. We have segment. A quick peep into the segment, you can see mid-market, small business, government, enterprise. So that immediately tells you what segment means, all right? how it categorizes something that we don't know, and we're going to find out as we go on. Then we see country. Oh, so maybe this business actually sells their products to different countries. You see France, you see Mexico, you see United States of America, Germany, da. Then we see product ID. Okay, interesting. So it means every product has a unique ID. Okay, sounds good. Then you see product itself. Oh, so this must be the name of the product that they sell. Oh, we have Carretera, we have Montana, we have Amarilla. Right. Now you can figure out later what industry this is or what kind of retail niche this is. Then we have discount band. All right. So this band is also a category of the level of discount. Is it none at all? Is it low? Is it medium? Is it high? All right. Again, we are beginning to understand that this is looking like a retail store data. Okay, so we have units sold. Oh, so how many was sold? How many of a particular product was actually sold? Also, we see manufacturing price. So this is in Naira, and I'm going to show you in a bit. Again, refer to the last video. We really talked about formatting. All right, so manufacturing price, sale price, this is how much was sold, gross sale, okay? Then you can immediately begin to notice blanks here, which can actually impact the integrity of our data set. So it is important for you to start taking note of that. So we see discount, okay? We see sales, all right? We see COG, then really left this. Now, as you interact with this, by first of all looking at your headers, okay? It questions begins to pop up in your mind that you might need to ask the stakeholder, that is the people that are giving you the work or the people involved on the project. It could even be you working with a team of people as a data analyst. What does this mean as far as this data is concerned? Because there might be ambiguous concepts that you need to know. That would help you on the long run. Then profit, all right? Then we have dates, we have months, number, we have name. Now, while you're doing this is first you want to check if there are any spelling errors, very important. And if it is clear, whatever is not clear there, you must start adjusting it, all right? So that is very, very key to know. So you want to check all of those field names. We also call them field names or header or column head, what have you, okay? Now, the next thing we want to check is for blanks. Like I said, we've dealt with this extensively, but for us to venture into data visualization, we must also be sure that our data is actually doing well. All right, and our data is doing well. Now, in the next 5 minutes, we're going to take a short break and we're going to come back. So I'm going to let you know when we're going to go. So for us to check blanks, there are different ways to check for blanks. All right, one of the easiest way is from home. All right, make sure you've clicked home. You will see what we call find and select. Okay, so from find and select, when you click on find and select, you see different drop-down options. Please confirm you can see the drop-down options. I'm sure you should be able to see it. I can't see my dashboard. Please unmute yourself and let me know. Can you see the drop-down? Can you see find, replace, go to? Oh, great. So what you want to click on is go to special. So go to special, that's what you want to click on. So once you click on go to special, you'll find plenty jargons here, right? So what you want to locate is blanks. So you want to click on blanks, okay? And then you want to say, okay. Now what this immediately do is to go through the entire data, all right? It's gonna go through the entire data to go and locate where we have blanks. In the process of collecting this data, okay? So perhaps there's a particular customer that they didn't fill a particular thing, all right? As you know, they're collecting data. Note that sometimes when you make orders for things, let's say from Jumia, from online, and they ask you for different details and all, most times this data on their own database at the back end, this is how it comes out as, all right? So you as the data analyst, imagine Jumia employs you to come and analyze their data. Most times you find it's going to be dirty and messy. What that means is it will always be clean. And for you to be able to do something meaningful with it, you must be able to identify for blanks. So now immediately under discounts, can you immediately see that, we have some missing values? You might just want to quickly do a little stroll. So obviously in our data, it shows that we have blanks. Okay, I addressed this in the last webinar where you have hash, hash, hash. It's just very easy. You need to just expand this. What it means is there's not enough space to accommodate all the characters in those cells. Okay, so you see it as cleared out. Sorry, I'm sounding a bit fast, and that's because I'm quite mindful of time. Okay, in a bit, we are going to go on a break. So now that we've identified, our blanks, okay, now the next question is, so what do we do with our blanks? What do we do? How do we, deal with our blanks? So remember what we did? We used our find and select function to look for the blanks. All right, so after we did that, we then came to the filter button. Once we clicked on it, in the search dialog box, we typed in blanks, and then we said, okay, and it brought us here. So we want to assume that for the discounts, where we have missing values, we can't just leave it empty. So let's say it is 0 naira that was actually assigned there. Okay, so you want to do that for the first one. You are not muted. Can you mute your mic, please? Moise Fatai, can you mute your mic? Thank you. Okay, so our other students have returned. Thank you for returning. So now we've reduced the dimensionality of our data, and we're now focused on just the missing value. So for those that are just joining, let me just quickly repeat this. I think it's important to quickly repeat this and also to capture it in the recording. So to deal with blanks, that's the first thing to normalize our data. We're going to click on find. There are various ways to do it. Again, refer to the last video. Find, go to special, click on blanks. All right, so it's going to go through the entire data and it's going to spot where you have missing values or what we call blanks. All right, so why I said, so it is important for your data to be put in tables because it immediately gives you this option, this filter button that makes your work really easy. So in this search box, we want to put in blanks. As you start typing it, give you something intuitive. You see, it's already ticked. You want to say okay. The moment you say okay, it's going to reduce the dimensionality of the entire data set and just focus on discounts with its corresponding, other variables. So technically, we have how many missing values here? We have about, how many do we have? About 8 or so. Now, we don't want to leave it blank because it will affect our data long run. So we want to assume that discounts are not given to these particular customers, but then let's say it is 0. That nothing is there is not equal to 0. There are two different things. When you say 0, you're saying 0 naira, as you soon see. All right, so this means 0 naira. So in Excel, it just tells because it is 0 that is there. All right, this is the currency. It just uses this dash. So let's do that for the next one too. 0. There could be more than that. In case it's longer than this, you want to drag everything. You want to drag it across board. So 0 has been assigned to all of our missing values, and that will, our data is beginning to make sense little by little. So how do we go back to our data again? You'll see this thing called clear filter from discount. Once you click on it, then boom, we're back. Now here, it's different from what it was before. Previously, there are missing values, but now we have 0 naira, and that's why we have dash naira. All right, so everywhere we have the missing value, we assume is 0. Now, that's, in a nutshell, that's blanks. Like I said, our focus is not really to do data cleaning. We've covered that in the last webinar. All right, our focus is visualization, but again, your data must be clean in order for you to be able to visualize correctly. All right, now from our, so I'm going to just go here. So, okay, let me just manually put this is 101 for our transaction ID. Now, the next thing that we want to really look at, now let's go back to our slide. We've checked for blanks. Okay, we want to see if there are no blanks. Again, we need to check for duplicates. And usually this is where the idea of duplicate comes in. As a data analyst, you know that in every data, usually there should be a transaction ID, especially if you're dealing with a business data like this. If it might not be business data, it might be any form of data. Sometimes it can come in form of serial number. Sometimes it can be student ID. Sometimes it can be matric number. Note that those values are unique identifiers, which means you cannot have two of those people, even if they are twins. Each one of them must have a unique ID. All right. So most times they want to check for duplicates, okay, for a particular order. All right. Now look at this person's order. This person that is 1001. All right. You see the segment it falls in is mid-market. The country, the person's country is France. All right. You see the product ID that was ordered is this. You can see the units that was sold is 549. Now, this is for this unique ID. It means there's trouble if we start having 1001 repeating itself twice. It's going to affect our data. It means there is probably an error when the order was placed because you should only have one order per one ID or per one individual. So most times, and this may give you a cheat code, most times, so as analysts, what we do is we go into the data, we want to majorly focus on, primarily, we want to focus on the ID or the serial number, stuff like that, in order for us to check for duplicates. So let's use this as a prototype. Now, this data is relatively clean, and there are not so much duplicate, but let's check for duplicate. How do we do that? So for you to check for duplicates in a particular column, all right, what you want to do is to highlight that column. You see how I highlighted it? I just went to this place and clicked on it once, then it highlights the entire column. Then I'm going to use conditional. There are different ways to actually check for duplicate, but I'm going to teach you to use conditional formatting. So usually in home, all right, in case you're not already home, you want to click on home, you want to click on conditional formatting. Once you click on conditional formatting, you're going to see highlight cell rules. All right, so we want to set some rules. Once you just over your cursor on highlight cell rules, you are going to see another drop down. Then you want to come straight down here, you see duplicate values. So once you click on it, immediately it gives you a dialog box. And from this dialog, you see you already have duplicates. There are different options there, how you want it to, whatever color you want it to use to fill the duplicates there. All right, so let's use light red fill, all right, with that dark red text. So the text and the field that will be used, we've used that. You're just going to say, okay. Once you say, okay, now notice it didn't pick any duplicate here. And that's because actually there are no duplicate values here. But quickly note something, where I have 102, the moment I change it to 101, I move away, it immediately highlights the two of them and say, hey, there's danger here. It looks like there's a repetition of someone that should have just been one in the data. We're already having the person repeating himself twice or herself twice, right? And then you need to check for that. Okay, again, from the last webinar, we dealt with how to identify, and when, in the case where you find it, how do you treat your duplicate? How do you clean the data in that regard? So I'm just going to Control Z to go back. So we'll say duplicates are good. And so we are good to go. Okay, other things to check for, you want to be sure that, for example, sometimes this is supposed to just be a nominal data. I don't want to bore you with what that means. And it's just a unique identifier, meaning it shouldn't have formatting like currency. So you want to highlight it, you want to be sure. You want to come to what you have number here under O, right? You want to leave it as general. And that's because there are other things, right? We have currency, we have accounting, we have so many things, we have short and long dates, etc., etc. You have percentage, you don't want to, so you want to be sure that it's just on general. Okay, there are other important things to look out for. So for example, let's go to dates. Let me quickly show you this, and then we're going to do some data visualization. All right, so from dates, you want to be sure that it's really, sometimes something might appear like this, and it's actually a text. Data is not in date format. Now, when you want to do analysis like trend analysis, you want to check trend over time, naturally, Excel should be able to see that column as in date format. If it is not seen in date format, if it's just normal text, It is not going to analyze it appropriately as it should analyze it. And that's why formatting is very important in data analysis. So you see already it's in date form, all right? But if it is not already in date form, you want to go back and check and be sure it is already, in date form. Another thing I'm just going to quickly check is currency. Okay, so let's just pick sale price, for example. All right, for better viewing, so for sale price, you want to highlight it. Let me just expand it a bit. So you see it's already in Naira. We can change the currency to something else. So I'm going to, so once you highlight on this, although showing a country, ideally it should be currency. Kindly mute your mic. Hi, Rosemary. You have muted. Please, are we all still together? Please let me know if you are still together. Drop your favorite emoji, guys. If it's making sense, please let me know. You can unmute yourself and let me know if you're following, if you're feeling this. Okay. Notice the moment I change it to currency now, because my computer is a UK computer, the default currency there is in what's it called? Is in oh, I love that rose flower. It's coming from a man. Okay. So it's in pounds. Okay. It's one of the strongest, currencies. So once I click on currency, then you see there's this button here that says accounting number format. You want to click on this button. Once you click on this button, you see a drop down that gives you different options. You see more accounting format because we're interested in Naira. Excuse me. All right. So from here, easily, you can just press, once you press N, it begins to suggest something similar. So we're looking for Nigerian Naira. Click on it, you want to say, okay. So it changes the entire format to that. All right, so I hope that is pretty clear. Now, that's very important before you then want to start thinking of data visualization. Now, there are different ways of visualizing data. I'm going to move to another data set to illustrate our data visualization. Two data sets will be shared with you, and your ability to reproduce what we have just done using those data sets will be the criteria for getting your certificate for this workshop. All right, so let's quickly move. Again, I hope I've been able to carry along those that are newbies. Okay, someone says, sir, please retake the currency aspect again. Okay, so let's quickly look through currency before we move in 1 minute. So for currency, let's take gross sale, for example. Remember, sale now, that's to be in a particular currency. Across board, we want to be sure that we are dealing with, let's say, Naira. Okay, so already is in Naira, but again, you want to be sure that that particular thing is in currency. So you want to click on that column. You want to highlight the entire column by clicking on the column head. You want to come to home. You want to be sure you're in home. Then you want to click on under number section. You want to click on this. You see currency. Then click on currency. Once you click on currency, whatever default currency your computer is set on is what is going to assign to it. Then that's not all. You now come to this button. Beside it, you see a tiny drop-down button. Once you click on it, it gives you this drop-down. Then you want to come to more accounting formats, right? Because what you need is not here. Except it's here, you can just click on it. So you see you have the US dollars, you have the UK pounds, then you have euro. But we are interested in Nigerian Naira, so we'll go to more accounting format. Once you click on more accounting format, on that symbol in this dialog box, you click on it once, it gives you another drop down. On it, you just start typing N. The moment you type N, it gives you NAD. Just scroll down to search for what you're looking for. You see, this is NGN. That's what we're looking for. So you click on it and you say, okay, boom. It's going to apply it to that. I hope that helped. Happy. All right, let's move. So let's move to another data set quickly. Confirm if you can see this data. Use your favorite emoji. Great.
Yes,
Let
you
me.
can.
Okay, great. All right. All right. Good. Yeah, I'm glad you understand. Okay, so great. So we'll just quickly look at this. So there are things we want to do. Again, like I said, there are various ways for data analysis, but I'm going to show you a quick data analysis tool in Excel for some very quick analysis of your data. okay, including visualization, which is the crux of this webinar. For those that joined in late or didn't get information at the beginning, this data visualization and data storytelling is for 2 workshops. So this is the first part. We're going to build on this, and the next workshop will be purely hands-on, meaning you'll be working directly with some of these data set as we are demonstrating in class. All right. So there are different types of analysis that can actually be performed. But then, so what do you do? Now let's start with this particular. These are just few data. So imagine a class. It's a teacher's data of some of the students. These are the names of the students, and these are some of the subjects they've taken, and these are the score they actually got in those subjects. We want to do some basic, you know, operations, mathematical operations, and also visualizations. We're going to come to that. So a quick one, there are different ways to actually do this, but I'm going to just show you one. So you want to right click anywhere, you can click on any cell on this particular data. You want to right click, you see what we call quick analysis. Quick analysis, as the name implies, it helps you to really begin to do something. So you click on quick analysis. Once you click on quick analysis, you see different options. You see formatting, you see charts, you see photos, you see tables, you see sparklines. All of this helps you to immediately begin to do some descriptive analysis on your data. Remember, I mentioned that as a data analyst in the data analysis pipeline, all right, there are 4 basic types of analysis that we perform in order to solve problems as data analysts. Number 1, descriptive analysis. Number 2, diagnostic analysis. Number 3, we have predictive analysis, and we have prescriptive analysis. We prescribe. I've explained that before. Now, under formatting, what are the many things you can do? Immediately on your data, as the analyst, you want to quickly see the students that have the highest score and those ones that didn't do so well. So under formatting, you see there's something called the data bar. All right, it might be useless in this context, and we're going to be learning bit by bit when to use what. All right, and that's the essence of this workshop. Okay, we will not delve much into that until next week, where we'll be doing the more complex things. Now, these are just very basic things, just to give you a general background. So we might not need data bar here. So under formatting, I can quickly use color scale. If I click on color scale, notice this. Naturally, intuitively, we know green. What green means? It means go ahead. It means good. That's right. Right? It's even a sign of peace, symbol of many good things, fruitfulness and all. Red means danger. But notice that it has different contrast. All right, let me get feedback at this point. If you're still with me, please use your favorite emoji. Sorry, I'm running very fast. I'm talking really fast. Okay, great, guys. Thanks for following. I'm excited. All right, good. You're analyzing data already in your mind. All right, so let's quickly look at this data just on the surface. We can immediately notice that Alice didn't do so well in maths. You notice the contrast of that red. It's red, but it's not that red. But then you see in heart, 95, that's good score. Now, giving it a panoramic view, you would notice that Nina had green almost throughout. This person must be smart. So as an analyst, immediately looking at the data like this, although it's not so much, you can immediately use quick analysis. The quick analysis tool, remember how we got there? You just click on any cell and right click and you find your quick analysis. It immediately gives you options like this. Another way to do that, there are so many ways. Let me show you another way to do it. You can just highlight on the data and then press Control Q. So with Control Q, it also gives you, the quick analysis option. So from here, we can begin to derive insight. Now we have not started data storytelling. We're just doing some quick understanding. We're trying to scratch, some tools, right? Some visualization tools, and see how important they are. Now, if you look at this data, and I need you to unmute your mic now, who would you say perform poorly? Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. We are 1 minute. Look at it. Looking at it, which student would you look at and say, generally, these students didn't really do well? Generally, you can spot at least 2 or 3 of them overall in all their courses compared to others. It's not like they didn't score high mark, right? There's something called
Michael.
Yeah. So who just spoke now? Kazim, is that you?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. So can you repeat what you said?
I said Michael,
Okay,
Lan,
Michael.
and
Michael. Okay,
Lan, and
Lan. Okay, yeah, Ruth, I see you. You said Michael too. Good. And who? Edward, right?
Edward.
Okay, you
Yes.
see they have so red everywhere. Okay, there's something called Z score, and that's beyond the scope of this class. The fact that someone scores very high doesn't necessarily mean they passed, because passing will be relative to other people's score within that same class. Okay, so there's a threshold. You see, despite the fact that this person has 75, it looks impressive. Look at 85, 78, it's still red. It's because it is relative to other scores within that class. All right, so again, I'm going to just right click, click anywhere and then right click and go to quick analysis. So you see there, we'll be able to use color scale. It uses, a palette, color palette to just distribute score based on how high and how low. All right, so immediately you're able to see that, from your analysis. I hope you got that. Okay, so let's look at other things we can actually do. Okay, so um, let's go to totals. Let's quickly go to totals. We are still coming to charts. All right. We need to really work on our Zoom subscription. So we have a couple of minutes, but no worries. We're making progress, and I'm glad we've gone this far. So we want to quickly go to totals. So from totals, we want to look at averages. So we're interested in all the students' average score. Okay, you see, just merely hovering on it without even clicking, it gives me the average score in math. So for all the students, all of them put together in math, the average score is 84. Okay, math must be hard for the average score to be, lesser compared to the rest. You see, you're beginning to derive insight as a data analyst from the data. All right, you will notice that art is usually the easiest, generally, to be honest. You see, 90 is the average score for all of them. Now, what this does is it comes to the bottom of the data and gives you uh, the averages. Well, what if you're interested in the averages for um, you want the averages to be on this side of your data? What do? Still under total, you find a button here. Once you click on that button, it gives you other options where your data, right? For example, totals can reflect on the side. So I'm going to go back there. Once I just click on average, you notice this is tilting to the right. Notice that it shows average here. I'm just hovering on it and it shows the average to the right. Now, what this does is, in this case, we are not focusing on the subject, we're focusing on individual students. Alice, all right, what is all of our average score throughout, this way, maybe you want to do some calculations like GP and all of that. Quickly, you're able to, see the average score for all of the subjects for Alice, for each and every one of them. Boom, that's how we do that. Again, some, if you're interested in some of all their scores, it's totally might be unreasonable. It might be if you are interested in adding all, the scores, and that's why you use some. Okay, again, count, it just tells you how many items. So there are just 5 subjects, and that's why you have 5 consistently throughout. Okay, again, percentages relative, it gives you the percentage total relative to every other person's score. In this case, it might not be relevant. All right, so such that by the time you add all of this total, it should amount to 100%. Okay, so I believe I've been able to show you some basic things. We are building. We are not there yet. We are just beginning to start some things. Let me quickly show you something we call trend analysis and a little bit of chart using this second data. Now, I would expect you to explore other things by the time you start practicing this yourself. Please confirm if you are still with me. Everyone, you're still with me.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Okay. So, see, gradually you're becoming a data analyst. It's not hard. I just hope you won't run away when it becomes more complex. All right. So let's go to the other data. I'll be very fast. Now, here, what do we want to do? Again, like I said, so you're going to right click, quick analysis. This time around, we want to go to sparklines. Let's start with sparklines. Now, this data is still our student data. Okay, I'm tempted not to do that with this particular data. Let's do it with this other one on the next sheet. See, this is a sheet, this is another sheet. So for sales, so this is my same student, they graduated, now we've employed them, they are now all sales rep, just an assumption. And this is the money they made, from sales, from, working as sales representative across the year. In a year, we have 4 quarters, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. There are 3 months that makes up a quarter. Okay, so we are interested in some things. I've shown you how to get some totals and, all of that, percentage totals. You can experiment with that. But what I want to quickly show you, is how to use trend, all right, to understand, so we can quickly use sparkline. Let's use sparkline. Okay, so sparkline, okay, let me just click on this. On this side, you can expand this. For each of the sales rep, it gives you an idea of how their performance is. That in Q1 it was a bit low, but in Q2 it went high. Why we need visualization generally is because sometimes figures can be confusing. And for you to present something unique and intuitive and easy to understand to stakeholders, you need to begin to use charts. Now, this is at the basic level. At the more advanced level, we begin to use pivot tables and charts, all right? And they'll begin to use chart builders, all right? So, but with this, you can begin to do some quick analysis on your data and observe the trend, all right? That this person, it was first high, then it went very low in Q3, then there was a peak again. So this immediately gives you an idea, right, of the trend, okay? The other things you can do, I'll just quickly show you, and I want you to explore as especially when you are doing your assignment. Okay, and I'm going to pause there. Okay, so I'm going to go to chart. There are different things you can do with that. We'll come in the next webinar, we'll be looking at each of these charts, when to use them, how to use them, and how to tell story based on our analysis. So for cluster chart or cluster column chart, if I apply this, it immediately shows me this. Excuse me. Let me just drag this. I want you to see it. Okay, so you can actually expand it, but do I want to expand it? No. You can rename your chart title, but that's not what I'm focused on. So this calibrates our data from the least to the highest, and it shows us each person across each quarter. You notice Q1 is blue. For Alice, look at the person's performance. Easily, you can use a visualization, all right, to compare their performance, the performance of each person. Oh, you see that, this person, this Alice for Q1, look at where the person's performance reached. Compared to Bob, look at Bob performed better than Alice in Q1. It's high. But look at George, he's very high. And some of the highest there where we have is Laura and Nina, very high. All right. So basically, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Visualization. Remember, this is just an introduction to it. We use data visualization to, excuse me. So we basically use data visualization to tell stories about our data. It makes it easier, like having plenty figures. We want to make sense out of it. We want to be able to communicate to people. We want to be able to simplify it. You would have read from reports, you would have seen charts, even it might be on the internet, on TV, you would have seen beautiful charts, and these things, you wonder how they came about them. In a bit is what you begin to do as a data analyst. Any questions? Some persons might be very passionate about this, and you want to take a full course on data analysis. In the academy, we offer different courses, but I'm going to introduce you to two. One, we have just Excel alone. Sometimes you want to test the waters and you want to just get started with Excel for data analysis, all right? And so we have an Excel course. If you're interested, we're going to share the flyer to the group. Usually we didn't want to do that, but we're going to do that to that community group. And funny how for that particular course, there's a crazy flash sale that is going on that. All right. Again, it's not compulsory, but if you want something that is more concise and more tailored, then it might be great for you to take the course, because the next time we're meeting again for the free webinar will be this time next month. Also, we have a fuller course that has other tools, Excel, SQL, and Power BI. It's usually very exciting. You do bigger things, and of course, the more tools you know, the more chances you have to get jobs and to do big things. All right, so we're going to communicate this better in the group chat. I hope you've had a wonderful experience. If you have any questions, please, we're going to open the chat on the group. Please send in your questions. The data would also be dropped. I need a feedback from 1 or 2 persons. I'm going to mute my mic now. Sorry, I spoke really fast tonight. I'm not usually like that, but we needed to do that. So in the next few seconds, anybody want to say something, comment? You want to say something? Anybody? Lizzie, Fatai, Rosemary, Chiamaka, Habib, Kazim.
Okay, let me say that
In few
each
seconds.
time I attend
Yeah.
the class, I always have something new,
New.